Hello students, welcome to all of you Shiksha 360 JAP classes. Today we will discuss the accounts chapter number 30. Very important chapter for the knowledge purpose and for the examination point of view also. Clear, for the knowledge purpose this is most important. Clear. Earlier chapter also, that is chapter number 29, it is also most important regarding the taxation. So these topics are most important for the knowledge purpose also. As in the banking, you will like sometimes you are going to pay the bill. Clear. So at that time there is option comes in your system like RCM. So many of you are not able to understand what is the meaning of that. Clear. What is the meaning of the RCM here? Clear. So RCM, what is the meaning of that? We will discuss later on in this session. Okay. So let's start our discussion without wasting much time. So that is chapter number 30th, goods and services tax. Clear. That is GST. Clear. So this session, this topic we will complete in two parts, part 1 and part 2. So let's start our today's discussion. So introduction regarding that. So taxation, what is the meaning? Taxation, basically it is the process. Clear. Taxation, it is the process adopted by the government or adopted by a government to levy and collect taxes. Clear. To levy and collect taxes, basically from whom? From the individuals, business entities and other organizations in the country. Clear. So what is taxation? Basically taxation, it is the process. Sorry, taxation, what is that? Taxation, it is the process by a government to levy and collect taxes from the individuals, business entities and other organizations in the country. Further, taxation plays very important role. Clear. Further, that is the taxation plays very important role in the economy of the country. Due to the federal structure, both the central and the state governments are involved in determining the various aspects of the taxation in India. What is the meaning of that? It's mean that both the center and the state government will charge the taxes from the, or basically will form the taxation, clear, as per the requirement of the state or the country. Okay. So over the last few years, various policy reforms have been undertaken by the central and the state governments to streamline the process of the taxation. Clear. So what is the main reform here? That is GST. Clear. That is goods and services tax. Even till now, many items are not included under that, which are also asked in the form of the question in the examination. So we have to be discussed regarding that also here. Clear. One question we will try to discuss today regarding that. That is very general questions. Clear. They will ask in the examination, but we have to be brief knowledge of all these things. So under, before moving towards the GST, first of all, we have to discuss here, that is what is the meaning of the direct and indirect taxes. So all the different types of taxes, clear, all the different types of the taxes levied by the governments can be classified into the direct and indirect taxes. Clear. So all the different types of the taxes levied by the government basically can be classified into the direct and the indirect taxes. So what is that? What is the direct tax? So direct tax basically it is defined. So first of all, direct tax. So direct tax basically it is defined as the tax imposed directly. Clear. So what is direct tax? Basically direct tax basically it is defined as the tax imposed directly on a taxpayer. Clear. It is defined as the tax that is imposed directly on a taxpayer and it is required to be paid to the government directly. Clear. So direct tax, what is the important thing under that? It is to be paid directly to the government. Clear. This tax, it is to be paid directly to the government. And it includes those taxes. Clear. This tax, we cannot say that we can transfer from one person to another. Clear. This type of the tax. Clear. So it includes those taxes also. Clear. It includes those taxes also that cannot be transferred or shifted to the another person. Clear. It includes those taxes also that cannot be transferred or shifted to the another person. For example, the income tax paid by an individual, it is considered as a direct tax because the burden of the tax falls solely on the individual who has a taxable income and he cannot shift the tax to others. Clear. And he cannot shift the tax to others. some of the other examples of the direct tax. Clear? So kindly remember all these examples because they will be asked in the examination. No need to like we can cram, just go through these points at least 2 times, you are able to remember. Clear? So some of the other examples of the direct tax are, first one here, that is the corporate tax. Second one, that is the wealth tax. Third one, that is the property tax. Fourth one, that is the capital gain tax. Fifth one, that is the securities transaction tax. Clear? Fifth one here, that is the security transaction tax. Clear? All these things basically comes under the direct tax. Now move to the next one here. Indirect taxes. Clear? So indirect taxes, sub first remember that are to be shifted from one person to another. Clear? Shifted from okay. So indirect taxes, on the other hand, are the taxes which can be shifted to another person or entity. Clear? Which can be shifted to the another person or entity. It is not the tax levied on the income or profit. Clear? So it is not like that. Basically, that tax will be levied on the income or the profit. Basically, this type of the indirect tax, basically, it will be on the goods and services rendered. Clear? Services rendered or provided. Clear? So it will be on those. Unlike the direct tax, an indirect tax can be shifted from one individual entity to the another. Clear? So here it will be shifted from the one entity to the another. For example, is sales tax paid by the buyer. Clear? A sale tax paid by the buyer in a retail setting. It is not paid directly by the buyer. Clear? A sales tax. A sales tax basically paid by the buyer in a retail setting. It is not directly paid by the buyer. It is collected by the seller from the buyer. Clear? First of all, like we can say that if we are going to the market for like basically we are going to purchase a new car. Clear? So that auto dealer basically will take the tax from us and later on they will pay the tax to the government. Clear? So that is indirect tax. Clear? So a sale tax paid by the buyer in a retail setting, it is not directly paid by the buyer. It is collected by the seller from the buyer and paid to the government. Clear? And later on paid to the government. Earlier, the list of indirect taxes imposed on taxpayers includes the services tax, sales tax, value-added tax, central excise duty, and customs duty, surcharges, and all. Clear? Presently, all these, clear, many of these are basically included, or we can say that are made null, or there is not any existence of that, and it is to be included under the GST. So here one new word comes, that is octroi. So can anyone tell what is the meaning of that? Yes, basically it is a duty or a charge, we consider it. A duty levied in some countries on various goods entering a town or city. Clear? Entering a town or city. Like we can say that like from Haryana to Delhi, just for an example purpose, if you are going to enter. Clear? So they will charge a duty. Clear? So like this way, this is one of the, just for understanding purpose. Clear? So they will charge the duty at the border. Clear? If you are entering the state, so you have to pay the state charges. Clear? Like this one. Just for the understanding purpose, we will take this example. However, the implementation, clear, after that GST is to be implementation. However, the implementation of the goods and services tax or GST regime from 1st of July 2017 has resulted in a replacing, clear, has resulted in a replacing all forms of the indirect taxes. Clear? So has resulted in replacing all forms of the indirect taxes imposed on the goods and services. Clear? Has resulted in replacing basically all forms of the indirect taxes imposed on goods and services by the state and the central government. Clear? By the state and the central government. So other levies which were applicable on the interstate transportation of goods have also been done away in the GST regime. Clear? So other levies which were applicable on the interstate transportation of the goods have also been done away basically in the GST regime. Okay, so interstate, like from one state to another, when there is entering, they have to pay some charge or tax. Clear? So that will be also levied. So that will be also gone away. Clear? With the implementation of the GST. Clear? That is all are to be removed after the implementation of the GST. Now further. So now here we have to discuss some differences, like 10 to 12 differences between that. And that definitely we will expect in the examination in the form of the question. Clear? So what are the basic differences between all these things, like between the direct and the indirect taxes? So kindly remember that. And at any point, if you have any doubt, you can ask also your doubt. So direct tax basically it is imposed on the incomes and profits. Clear? First point, that is where it will be imposed. So direct tax basically it is imposed on the incomes and profits. Whereas indirect tax it is to be levied on the goods and services. Clear? So direct tax basically it is imposed on the incomes and profits. On the other side, indirect tax basically it is to be levied on the goods and the services. Second one, direct tax here. Clear? So direct tax basically here, direct tax basically it is directly paid to the government. Clear? So direct tax basically it is directly paid to the government. On the other hand, while there is generally an intermediary, clear, basically while there is generally an intermediary for collecting indirect tax from the end consumer. Clear? So while there is generally an intermediary for collecting indirect tax. Clear? Basically for what? For collecting indirect tax from the end consumer. Clear? From the end consumer. Third one, the burden of tax. Clear here? Third one, that is the burden of tax cannot be shifted in the case of a direct tax. Clear? The burden of tax cannot be shifted. Clear? So that is a person who is earning the earning. Clear? That is salaried individual. So they have to be pay the tax. Clear? From their income, and that cannot be shifted. Clear? So the burden of tax cannot be shifted in the case of the direct tax, while burden can be shifted for indirect tax. Clear? While the burden can be shifted for the indirect tax. Fourth one, the probability of tax evasion is lower in the case of indirect taxes. Clear? The probability of the tax evasion, it is lower. Clear? Tax evasion, that is they have to pay to avoid the tax. Clear? For paying to avoid the tax. Clear? So the probability of tax evasion basically it is lower in indirect taxes. Clear? So sometime basically in the examination they will ask question, in which tax probability of tax evasion is lower. Clear? Probability of tax evasion is lower, like direct, indirect, both, none. Clear? So in this way, they will ask question in the examination. So you are able to answer those questions only if you have gone through very well. Clear? Otherwise, it becomes very difficult for you to answer those questions. Okay, so next one. Direct tax further, that is direct tax basically can help in reducing the inflation. Clear? That is if any person is earning 20 lakh. Clear? So government basically we can say that like 30% tax will be deducted on that. Clear? Just for example, like 4 lakh they will pay as a tax. So it leads to the reduction in their income. Clear? On the other side, if the indirect tax basically enhance, clear, so it will lead to the prices enhance in the or increase in the prices of the goods and services. Clear? So if on the other side, basically indirect tax basically may enhance inflation. Clear? So they are indirectly with respect to each other. So here the indirect tax basically may enhance inflation. As indirect tax, it is added. Clear? As indirect tax basically it is added to the price of the goods and services. Clear? As indirect tax basically it is added here to the price of the goods and services. So kindly remember all these points. Now move to the next one, point 6. Direct taxes are considered to be progressive. Clear? Direct taxes are considered to be progressive, while the indirect taxes are considered to be regressive here. Clear? So direct taxes are considered to be progressive here, and while the indirect taxes are considered to be regressive here. Direct tax further, that is it helps in reducing the inequalities. Clear? Direct tax basically helps in reducing the inequalities. That is the person earning more, they have to pay more tax, and the person earning less, they have to pay less tax. So that we can say that inequalities basically will be less in the society. On the other side, while indirect taxes basically will enhance the inequalities. Clear? Why? If the indirect taxes are to be increased, so only wealthiest people basically will be able to purchase the costly goods from the market. Clear? Will be able to purchase the costly goods from the market. Okay, now move to the next point. Indirect taxes involve lesser administrative cost, while direct taxes involve higher administrative cost. Clear? So indirect taxes basically involve lesser administrative cost, while the direct taxes basically involve higher administrative cost. Ninth one. Indirect taxes are to be oriented more towards the growth. Clear? So indirect taxes are to be oriented basically more towards the growth as they discourage the consumption. Clear? So indirect taxes basically are to be oriented more towards the growth as they discourage the consumption and help the enhanced saving. Clear? So indirect taxes are to be oriented more towards the growth basically as they discourage the consumption and help in enhance the savings. While the direct taxes, clear, on the other side, basically, while the direct taxes basically reduce the savings, clear, while the direct taxes basically reduce the saving and discourage the investments, clear, and discourage the investments. Clear, presently, like government has introduced the new tax regime scheme. Under that, they will not give preference to any investment. Clear? They will not give preference to any investment. Either you will do the investment or not. Clear? So if your total income, like we can say that like 7 lakh, so they will not charge any tax from you. Clear? So there is nothing any investment. Clear? Even if you will do investment, that will not be excluded from that. Only standard deduction of rupees 50,000 will be excluded from that. Clear? So these are the things. Clear? You have to take care regarding that. Clear? Whether you will follow the old tax regime or the new tax regime. Further, indirect taxes cover all the members of the society, while direct taxes are to be collected only from people in the respective tax brackets. Clear? So whether basically indirect taxes basically it is to be charged from the goods. So every person basically will purchase a goods from the market, so that will be taken from him or her. So additional indirect taxes levied on the harmful commodities. Clear? Like every time you will see in the budget, there is increase in the taxes on the harmful commodities, like such as cigarettes, alcohol, etc. So that is can be used as a tool to dissuade their consumption. Clear? So that is with the help of the increase in the taxation on that or increase in the prices of these goods or harmful commodities, let's do their reduce in the consumption. Clear? Let's do their reduction in the consumption. Okay. That is, it is also increased. Clear? So additional indirect taxes is to be levied. Next one, 2 to 3. Okay. So that all are the differences between the direct and the indirect taxes. And that leads to the formation of the question. Clear? So I will provide you in the group 6 to 7 questions just on the differences between the indirect and the direct taxes. And you are able to answer those questions only if you have gone through these points very well. Clear? So I request to also later on that is you have to go through these points at least once more. Next one, that is now the main tax is to be introduced here. That is the goods and services tax. Clear? Goods and services tax. So goods and services tax or GST regime was introduced in the country with effect from 1st of July 2017. Clear? So when this tax was to be introduced in the country, that is with effect from 1st of July 2017. So the introduction of the goods and services tax was a very significant step in the field of the indirect tax reforms in India. Clear? The introduction of the goods and services tax basically was a very significant step in the field of the indirect tax reforms in India. A large number of the central and state taxes, clear, a large number of the central and state taxes got amalgamated into a single tax. Clear? So a large number of the central and state taxes basically got amalgamated into a single tax. So the indirect taxes on the goods and services, clear, the indirect taxes basically on the goods and services became more transparent to the consumer. Further, this single tax, clear, now earlier basically they are going to pay different taxes, clear, like from one state to another they are paying to state duty, clear, like these are the different taxes, clear, service tax. So here all the taxes are to be included, clear. So the indirect taxes on the goods and services became more transparent to the consumer. Further, this is single tax. It is easier to administer and encourages the shift from the informal to the formal economy. Clear? From the informal to the formal economy. So GST is intended for the unification, clear, like for the collaboration of various indirect taxes, clear. So it is intended for the unification of the various indirect taxes, clear. Sometime in the examination, what they will ask. So GST is intended for the unification of the various direct taxes, various indirect taxes, clear. So kindly remember that basically it is intended for the unification of the various indirect taxes prevailing in the country, clear, various indirect taxes that is prevailing in the country. It is also aims at reducing the physical interface and lowers the cost of compliance, clear. So basically it is also aims at reduces, clear, it is also aims at reducing the physical interface and lower the cost of compliance, clear, it is also aims at reducing the physical interface and lowers the cost of compliance. Further, GST it is to be levied, clear, GST it is to be levied on all the transactions, clear, GST it is to be levied basically on all the transactions such as sale, transfer, purchase, barter, lease or import of goods and services, clear. So GST it is to be levied basically on all the transactions such as sale, transfer, purchase, barter, lease or import of goods and services, clear. Kindly remember this line also, clear. So where it is to be levied on all the transactions such as sale, transfer, purchase, barter, lease, and import of goods or services. And when it was introduced in the country, or basically it was effective in the country from 1st of July 2017. Further, so it is a comprehensive tax, sub assuming, clear, basically it is a sub comprehensive tax assuming almost all the indirect taxes except a few state taxes, clear, almost all the indirect taxes basically except a few state taxes. However, what are not to be included under that? This one will be the question. However, the crude oil, petroleum products, clear, however the crude oil, petroleum products, electricity and alcoholic liquor for the human consumption are not in the GST regime presently, clear. First one, that is crude oil, petroleum products, electricity and alcoholic liquor for the human consumption, clear, electricity and alcoholic liquor for the human consumption are not included in the GST regime presently. India adopted a dual GST model, clear, that is dual GST model, that is state and center, meaning the taxation it is to be administered, clear. So India adopted a dual GST model, basically that is meaning the taxation it is to be administered by both the union and the state governments, clear, that the tax is to be administered basically by the both the union and the state governments. So what is the meaning of that? So it leads to that there are four types of the taxes is to be prevailing in the India, clear. So there are four types of the GST in India as mentioned below, clear. So what are the four types of the GST? First one, that is the SGST, clear. So first one here, that is the SGST, that is state goods and services tax, clear. So SGST basically that is leads to the states goods and services tax. CGST, that is C basically means stands for the central goods and services, clear. CGST basically stands for the central goods and services tax. Third one, that is the IGST, clear. Third one, that is the IGST stands for the integrated goods and services tax, clear. IGST basically stands for the integrated goods and services tax. UGST, that is union territory goods and services tax, clear. Union territory goods and services tax, clear. So it is to be divided in this way. So the transactions made within a single state, so transaction basically made within a single state are levied with the central GST by the central government and the state GST by the state government, clear. So that is tax is to be paid both to the center and to the state if there is any transaction basically within one state. For interstate transactions, clear, basically from one state to another, for interstate transaction and the imported goods or services. So what tax is to be levied? At that time, integrated GST, that is goods and services tax, is to be levied by the central government, and they will give the share of the state or the union territory, clear. So in that case, thus all the income basically first of all basically will go to the central government, that is integrated GST. It is levied by the central government and they will give the share of the state or the union territory after that. Next one, that is a UGST. Clear? UGST, that is, it is applicable for the union territories. Clear? Union territory goods and services tax. Clear? So UGST basically it is applicable for the union territories like Chandigarh, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, etc. Clear? So UGST it is applicable for the union territories like Chandigarh, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, etc. So this point we have not covered till now. I will discuss within some time. So GST here. So goods and services, GST, it is a destination based tax on the consumption of goods and services. Clear? So what is GST? Basically, it is a destination based tax on the consumption of goods and services. So therefore, taxes are paid to the state. Clear? So therefore, under that, taxes are to be paid to the state where the goods or services are to be consumed and not to the state in which they are to be produced. Very, very important here. So GST, what is that? It is a destination based tax. Clear? It is to be a destination based tax on the consumption of goods and services. Clear? So therefore, taxes are to be paid to the state where the goods or services, clear, where the goods or services are to be consumed and not to the state in which it is to be produced here. So the tax would accrue to the taxing authority, which has jurisdiction over the place of the consumption, which is also termed as a place of supply. Clear? Place of consumption, it is also why that area it is to be place of consumption, because at that place it is the goods or services it is to be supplied here. Clear? Goods or services is to be supplied here. Clear? So please kindly remember that GST it is to be a destination based tax on the consumption of goods and services. So therefore taxes are to be paid to the state where the goods or services are to be consumed and not to the state basically in which they are to be produced here. Clear? Not in the state in which they are to be produced here. So next one, what is GST Council? Clear? So GST Council. So it is a governing body and Union Finance Minister is its chairman. Clear? So it is a governing body and who is the chairman of that? Union Finance Minister, like presently Shrimati Nirmala Sitharaman, it is the Union Finance Minister and it's chairman of the GST Council. Further, basically what are the other members who will included under that? It also includes the Minister of States of the Revenue and the State Finance Ministers. Clear? And the State Finance Minister. GST Council, it is a main decision making body. Clear? So basically GST Council, it is a main decision making body and makes recommendations. Clear? So GST Council basically it is a main decision body and makes recommendation on the issues like which goods and services may be taxed or exempted from the GST or GSR rates, etc. Clear? So basically it has a main role. Clear? Like which goods they have to include under that, which goods and services may be taxed or exempted from the GST. Clear? Like you will see that whenever there is a meeting, there will be increase in the taxation in the some goods and in the decrease in the taxation of the some goods. Like there are slabs like 5%, 12%, 18%, 28%. Clear? So switching of the goods basically between these slabs, it is continuously going to be happen. Clear? It is continuously going to be happen. Clear? So all this work it is to be done by the that council, that is GST Council here. Now move to the next point. So the first question which we have to discuss here, that is, so GST it is to be levied on which of the following transactions? Please tell fast in the comment section. Basically GST it is to be levied on which of the following transactions? Sales and transfer of goods and services. Clear? So on that GST will be levied or not? Yes, this one it is correct one. Import of goods and or services, on that GST will be levied. Yes, this one it is also correct one. Lease of goods and or services, basically on that it also will be levied. Clear? So option number D will be the answer, that is all of the above. Clear? Because whatever they have mentioned in the option number A, B and C, on all of the above GST will be levied here. Clear? Or GST it is to be levied here. Clear? So option number D will be the answer, that is all of the above here. Now one more question it is present here, that is question number 2. So please tell fast also what will be the correct answer of this question. Which one of the following items are not included in the GST resume? I have taken special discussion on that also. Clear, I have done in the previous slides. So which is to be not included in the items are not included under the GST regime. So please tell fast what will be the answer. Alcoholic liquor for the human consumption, banking services. I think you will aware that basically in the banking services, like if the check is to be bounced, so there are 500 plus GST, like 590 rupees are to be deducted from the customer account. Clear? So banking services will be included under the GST or not? Yes, it will be included. Even in the insurance premium, like basically your LIC premium, it is to be 50,000. Clear? So they will have to pay 18% GST on that. Clear? Just I take an example. So this will be also included under that. Transport services. Clear? Even the transport service, like basically you are hiring a, or basically you are purchasing a flight ticket. So you will face that you have to pay GST on that also. Clear? That is also one of the transport services. So that will be also included under the GST. So option number A, clear. In the case of the alcoholic, clear, till now it will not come under the GST. Clear. So alcoholic liquor for the human consumption, it will not included under the GST regime. Clear, it will not included under the GST regime. Okay. So in this session, we have to discuss up to this much point. And in the next session, we will try to cover all the other important points, like what is input tax credit, who is liable to pay GST, what does liability comes to pay GST arise. Clear, all these things, and what are the advantages and GST provisions. Clear? We will discuss all these things in the next session, and I will try to cover this chapter in the next session. Clear? Tomorrow we will discuss further, and we will try to complete this chapter in the tomorrow session. Okay. So thanks to all of you for joining this discussion. If you have any doubt, any query regarding that, please pass your doubts and queries. Continuously sessions will be going on for the other subjects, PPB, retail, and Indian economy. So interested students can join and try to clear your exam. Clear? So we will provide you the PPT, PDF, MCQ, case study, numericals, memory-based questions, or all MCQ numerical will be discussed. Clear? So validity, just you have to pay one time until your examination. You have to go through the attend the classes. Clear? No need to pay again and again. Thanks to all of you for joining this discussion.